Hello, welcome to the G.I. Joe New News Classified Reviews. My name is David T. Allen, or if you would like, Super Dave 817. If you would like to see more of this content, please like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification button for future videos. Thank you and enjoy.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the G.I. Joe New News Classified Review. I am David Allen, or if you'd like, Super Dave. We are here to talk about a heavy hitter today, and he really did some damage to the G.I. Joe team, and that is Saw Viper, number 147 in the classified line. And you can see he's got that big gun there. He's ready to blow some Joes away, and it was a bit of a tragic story with that. It was, I guess, a little bit of an attempt to clean the line up a little bit because Larry had a difficult time trying to write all these characters into this series and all these vehicles and integrate them into his storytelling and stuff like that. So this was a concerted effort by him and the people at Marvel, and I'm not even sure if Hasbro was privy to some of this, but they might have been because they had to approve some of these stories and things, where they ended up killing off a lot of characters. And this character, the Saw Viper, was the tool to do so. Spoiler alert, a lot of characters got killed off. I'll go into it when I talk about the comics in a little while. But first, we're going to go into a little bit of the Saw Viper's history, and that is going to start with Dan Klingesmith's series of books, Creating G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, Volume 4. And we have the Saw Viper there. Saw Viper there. Some beautiful presentation artwork by Dave Dorman. He did a lot of the presentation artwork in the late 80s for the line. And so that's where a presentation of characters would be shown off to the executives and the higher ups in a line review, and they would show these pieces of artwork and they'd be, oh, I like that, change that, blah, 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 and so on and so forth. So let's look at some of the cool information that Dan has on the Saw Viper. Alternate names: Claw, Viper, and year release 1990. Designed by Dave Hassel. Now that's a new name, a design name. So he must have been another designer that came after Mark Pennington, because Mark Pennington only went from 87 to 89. And so they started to get other designers in the later years from 90 to 94. So Dave Hassel must have been one of those designers. If you have ever wondered why a Saw Viper's gun was so much bigger than most G.I. Joe weapons, it was due to an overlooked Dave Hassel product designer made when submitting the scale of the gun to production. The gun was at the scale that the 2-Up or Paintmaster would be holding, although he shared that this was one of his most embarrassing moments at Hasbro. This unnoticed incident did not affect the outcome of the product. So the fact that Saw Viper comes with a huge gun, that was the gun size for the 2-Up version of the Saw Viper. And it was never intended to be the actual size for the vintage figure. So that is an interesting little tidbit that I did not know. So that's another reason why we read these books and this information, because he does have a really big gun. But it kind of fit for the comic because he really blows away a lot of people with that big gun. So there you go. So that's your Saw Viper information. And then let's see his figure package. Let's see if we can find that. Saw Viper. And there is the Saw Viper package. It's a little blurry. there. Hopefully you can see that. You can see that big gun that's in there with him. Um, and then I have the vintage figure. And they were not kidding. Look at that gun. When you look at that gun compared to the figure, it's almost the same size as the figure. And my figure is in really good shape. It's very sturdy, very strong. There's nothing wrong with it. All the paint is all there. No paint scrapes or anything. But look at the size of that. So that is interesting that Dave Hassel made a mistake on that, not letting them know about the 2-up on that. And obviously the figure looks like just a normal figure. It doesn't look that big or anything. It looks like a normal everyday figure. No difference in that. He does have a backpack, so we can put his backpack on him. I don't see any reason why to put this huge gun on there because it's the wrong size. But I'm going to put it back in the package with the gun because it's just too big to have him hold it. So I will put him over there. So, all right. So then the S.A.W. Viper got his first appearance in the first part of the G.I. Joe Real American Hero series in I would say around 1991 or so, with issue 109. And that was the first part of the Battle of Benzine. The first part of the Battle of Benzine, where he ends up killing off like half the Joes. I wouldn't say half the Joes, but a big chunk of the Joes. You can see he has that big gun. So obviously they did not communicate the fact that he wasn't supposed to have that big gun in the comics. So there you go. And this is part 1, and it says right on the cover, the casualties of war. And then right here it says, in this issue alone, the body count is 7 and climbing. And then the next issue, a whole bunch of other Joes gets killed. If you guys want, I will let you know who they are, and I will spoil that. But for those who don't want to know, I'm going to keep that to myself. I do know a lot of the Joes that ended up getting killed. But like I said, I'm just going to keep that to myself for now. So we have S.A.W. Viper. And then we have that artwork there. Beautiful artwork again. And then we have the Target artwork with the QR code to nowhere and the designations. So we're going to look at his designations. Going to see what that entails. He's got the marksman. He's got the heavy weapons. He's got the eye, which is, I think, infiltration. And then he has the environmental specialist with the moon, which I think is night. Let's see. Maybe the night one. Yeah, the night one. So that is his designations for S.A.W. Viper. So we're going to get him his first off his photography artwork, which is really nice, by Shooting the Galaxy, Matt and Mike, I should say. I keep wanting to say Alex, but there's no Alex there. And then a couple of call outs on the package there. It looks like he's in a big battle zone, and that's a little grim, but there's a G.I. Joe helmet down there on the ground with a little, looks like schmutz or something on it. It might even be, oh, you know what? That's Doc's helmet. That's a call out to one of the Joes that ends up getting killed. That was Doc that is one of the ones that got killed. They did a call out to that, which is very grim for the classified Hasbro team. Did you know that they is a Matt Tracker action figure from Mask? Yeah, there's several Matt Tracker action figures. Terrence Child, thanks for joining the chat this morning. Um, they did Matt Tracker first off in the 25th anniversary for G.I. Joe. And then they did him in a box set, a San Diego Comic-Con box set that had a different Matt Tracker that was African-American Matt Tracker. They also had the zombie from the G.I. Joe Renegades. They had Robot from the Renegades. They had some Micronauts. They had Leoric from Visionaries. They had Rom. They had Action Man. And they had Jetfire or Skyfire, whichever one you want to call it. All in this box set. It was I think a Revolutions or something box set. And so there was two Matt Tracker G.I. Joe figures that was made. Now they're looking into probably doing Mask. And there's some other independent third-party companies that are trying to do Mask, but I don't know how well that's going. So they're in a deep city-like background, and there's a couple other Saw Vipers back there. You can see them in the background. But yep, there's Doc's helmet right there. So that's a call out to that comic book story. So let's get this puppy opened. And first off, let's look at the front. So we have the package loadout, and he does come with quite a lot of stuff. And the Cobra logo, and it says Saw Viper, semi-automatic weapon. So he's kind of like a heavy weapons Viper, I guess, is what a Saw Viper is. So we put that down there. We have the Cobra logo on the interior. We also have the Indicia and Gobbledygook, legal Gobbledygook in there. So there he is in all his glory. Now, obviously, right out of the package, he's a bit of a chunkier figure. He's definitely a bit bigger than the vintage one. The vintage one is not as big. He's a much smaller figure. He's not as chunky, but they went and did a little bitty I guess extra on him and plussing him up as for the classified line. He kind of looks bigger because in the comics he looked bigger. That's one of the interesting things. And a lot of this looks like he's using a lot of the tripwire mold. Hey, good morning, Woody. Thanks for joining us. I got a lot of news to cover today after we do this review. So stay tuned, Woody. I think you're going to find it fascinating. Good morning, Super Dave and chat. Thank you. Good morning, Gunpowder Nitro. Thanks for joining us. What's cracking, Joe Bros? Not much. We got some news. After we do this heavy hitter Saw Viper review, I got a bunch of news to cover with you guys, and I think you're going to find it fascinating. So I like everybody saying hi in the chat. Woody, one of my favorite troop builders. Yeah, wow. He was a little bit outside my time of collecting, but I know you were a little later in getting into G.I. Joe, so it makes sense that he would be one of your favorites because there's a lot of guys that like him in that era. He was a little late in my collecting. My troop builders are Crimson Guards, Techno Vipers, and the Night Creepers. Even though the Night Creepers came a little bit later, I just think they're cool looking. I think maybe if I was concentrating more, or if I wasn't so upset that he did all the damage to the Joe team in the comic, maybe I would have been a little bit more of a fan of this guy. But this is the tripwire mold. It looks like they redecoed it, and they gave him a different headpiece. This little headpiece comes off, and it's movable and maneuverable there. So if you want, you can put that back on, I guess. There, like that. Um, besides the giant gun, he was awesome. Well, that's the thing. I was talking about that a little while ago. Apparently, that was a mistake by Dan Hassel when they did the design for this. They forgot to change the gun. The gun that came with him, the vintage one. I'll pull it out again. The vintage gun. This vintage gun was originally for the 2-up. It wasn't supposed to be for the O-ring. So that was a mistake by the Hasbro team in the 90s when they made this. They forgot to tell them, no, that gun's the wrong size. You need to make the regular size gun for the O-ring figure and not the 2-up gun. Look at that gun. It's absolutely huge. So that was a mistake by the Hasbro team. And they made some mistakes. With a couple of different things in that time frame. They made mistakes with Pimp Daddy Destro. They made mistakes with Deep Six with the dolphin whale situation. There was mistakes all the time. So there you go. Um, let's see. It says Woody. Yeah, a lot of people don't like the guy because of what he did to Doc. Well, that was the tip of the iceberg, what he did to Doc. But yeah, he was a bad character. He was a really bad character. And I think later on he ends up becoming overkill, maybe, or something. I don't know. Really, thanks for the info, Dave. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. We can all learn from these things, you know. That's why I like the chat and everybody hanging out and talking, because you guys sometimes know things that I don't. Sometimes I know things that you don't. That's the collaborative nature of this channel. Awesome factoid, Dave. Thank you. You're welcome. 610 Yojo Daddy. What's up, Super Dave? What's up, fellas? Thanks for joining us this morning in the chat. Everybody's saying hello. So I do like a lot of the balancing of the colors. So if you look at this one, he was a lot of purple, black, and fuchsia, and he's a lot of purple, black, and fuchsia. I would say his purple is a little darker and his fuchsia is a little brighter. So it goes hand in hand with what Classified's been doing up to this point, where they've been subduing the color scheme, or they've been changing it to suit maybe the plastic or the way the manufacturer is. I'm not exactly sure. But they do have that bright green buckle that he has on the vintage one as well. So I think that's really cool. Yeah, I believe that Saw Viper became overkill. Yep. So because the Joes was so upset at him, they gave him what for in that storyline, the battle for benzene, and he was barely alive. And then, of course, with Dr. Mindbender and all his science and all that, they said, hey, we could reuse this guy and turn him into something else. And they did. And he ended up becoming the leaders of the Bats, which is an odd thing for him to become the leader of. And there's a little bit of an interesting thing in the Skybound comics recently. Larry Hama, in his series, had a powwow with a bunch of his lieutenants or his commanding officers that were left over, and they showed Overkill. I don't recall Overkill ever appearing in Larry Hama's comics before. Can someone tell me where Overkill appeared prior to this? That he established that Saw Viper became Overkill in the comic? Because I know in the toy line and stuff he became Overkill, but I don't recall him becoming Overkill in the comics. So can someone let me know where that was? Because I don't remember that being in Larry Hama's original run, 1 to 55. Maybe it was when he took it over through IDW and relaunched it with 155 and a half. Between there and 320, whatever it's on, 23 that it's on now, maybe somewhere in there, Overkill was brought in and they established that it was a Saw Viper, but I don't recall that. So I thought that was funny that Larry Hama showed Overkill there in that comic, because I don't recall that, but I could be wrong. pretty awesome power to be able to control all those bats. Yes, yeah, it is. Wasn't it during the IDW run? If it was during the IDW one, I don't recall. I only knew that fact from the Deke series. Yeah, see, in the Deke series, they established it in animation, and that's where this character appears in animation for the first time. He does not appear in Sunbow at all. He got skipped over. But maybe something happened to him and then he becomes Overkill in the Deke series. So maybe that's where that was established. I don't recall it being in Larry Hama's comics, so I find it funny that he would show Overkill in his comic as one of his lieutenants. Um, I would have rather if he'd showed Cesspool, because Cesspool is around and he did establish him in Larry Hama's comics, and he has appeared in Larry's modern comics, IDW and the other ones. So it's a little bit of a puzzle. I'll have to research it and see where if Overkill appeared in Larry Hama's comics. That was just a little aside. It was something funny. So he has that little tampo, that Cobra tampo there, and he's got his green belt. But I like the balance of the deco with the black, the fuchsia, and the purple. And I like he just looks like a regular guy with big blue eyes. Nothing nasty or mean about him. I don't know why. He just wanted that overtime and that extra money. And the Crimson Twins were like, hey, yeah, if you can do this, you'll get some extra pay. And he does. He goes and he shoots a bunch of Joes. I have 2 Saw Vipers. I want more. Oh, yeah, he's a good one. Yo, Bill Lenore. Sup? Hey, Bill Lenore. Thanks for joining the chat. What's up, everybody? Everybody's saying hi. All right, let's get some of these accessories. Now, I'm interested to see if this gun matches the size of the gun that he came with on the other one. It doesn't look like it does. It looks like it's smaller to me, based off the just based off this thing. There's a little bitty thing that snaps onto this so we can hold. So that goes there and that goes there. So it's a bit of a handle there, and it has that purple cartridge, ammo cartridge. I'm guessing that is, or maybe it's like a little stand of some sort. And he has this big handle. So this is definitely a new gun, and there's a lot of really cool detail with it. So that's a definitely new one. So then he has the ammo belt, which this is a new ammo belt. We've been getting that rock and roll Roadblock ammo belt for quite a while now. So this is a new ammo belt. So it's supposed to go through here, I'm guessing. Goes into this. There's a little slot in here, although I can't see where it goes. It's supposed to go in here, but doesn't seem to want to go in there. So we'll put it aside for now. There. And so then we have his big backpack, similar to his vintage backpack. He had this really large backpack. See, look at that big backpack. And then he's got this big backpack. The difference is this one has some deco on it. Has a lot of black ammunition and stuff like that that's on there. And he's got that like holder, kind of like luggage holder where you could carry it kind of situation. Let's see. Woody, the Ultimate Army Builder. What up, dude? Hello. Saying hi. I got the 37 Saw Vipers. Yikes. Wow, you got enough Saw Vipers, all right. God damn, LOL. That must look sick. Oh, boy. Is it the magazine? It holds the belt to keep it from flopping around during combat. Gunpowder Nitro. Yeah, I thought so, but I don't. It doesn't want to go in there. So I'm not entirely sure how it goes in there. there's a little thing from this cartridge that's sticking in that slot. So I would think it was supposed to go like that, but so far it's not going in there. So then he comes with this little teeny weeny little chainsaw, so he can chainsaw people. He is called a saw viper after all. So I'm guessing that saw viper attaches someplace. Hey, good morning, Clement. Thanks for joining us again. 610 Yojo Daddy. I think it might have been in Devil's Due, Dave, according to what I looked up, was during the Coil storyline. Ah, the Coil storyline. Okay, well, the problem with Devil's Due is it's been completely disavowed. So originally, Devil's Due was a continuation of Larry's A Real American Hero series. It was 5 years later. Or 7 years later. It's different in different places that they mention it. But when Larry came back into IDW, he started over. He started with 155 and a half. So that completely shunted Devil's Due aside. So that can't work. All the Devil's Due continuity is not part of Larry Hama's continuity any longer. It's kind of like what they did with the Kelvin universe in Star Trek, where they changed time and it shunted the Kelvin universe over to the right or the left, and the regular universe kept going this way. So that can't work if he happens to be overkill in that. It won't work in Larry Hama's continuity. So that's an oversight for Larry Hama. So I'm gonna talk to people that I know that are editors for Larry Hama. A friend of mine, Diana Davis. I'm gonna check with her on that because I think that might be an error if it doesn't happen in IDW. So, Dave, you either have to use the camo belt or the canister if you can't use both. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thank you very much, Woody. Absolutely correct about it not being canon anymore for Ara. Yep. Woody, that a flaw should have a small section again from the box to the gun. Yeah. Yeah, it should. I think they should have both. You should be able to fit both of those on there. I'm going to see where this chainsaw can go. Let's see. Well, I don't know. There's a little bitty doodad on the end of this chainsaw. I'm thinking that it's supposed to go in here, but I don't see a spot for it. So, but then we have his helmet, his big helmet, and you can see on the vintage, it's got that green laser type light on there. And so this one, they did that same thing with this one. And there's some black deco on there as well. So I'm going to put that on his head so we can get that look. Oh yeah, that looks really cool. Looks really nice like that. 610 Yojo Daddy. Diana is awesome. Love hearing her talk about her love for Duke. Oh yeah, she's a big Duke fan. There's no doubt about that. There's a hole for the chainsaw on the gun near the barrel. Oh, all right, Woody. Thank you. I need to have you in all these videos to help me put this stuff together, Woody, because I have such a hard time sometimes trying to find this stuff. That's the nature of these videos, is the exploration and the searching and stuff like that. Is that this right here? This little spot there. Yep. There you go. All right, and then he has a pistol. There's a bit of a it looks like almost a Beretta to me. It looks really big, and he has a weapons cartridge underneath there and a silencer on it. So I'm going to stick that into this holster on the side. He's got a holster on that side there on his right leg. He also has a knife holster on the back of the belt there that we can put a knife in. So we're going to put this in here for now. there. Yep. And then the knife, we'll get that out. Excuse that noise. All right. So there's the, oops, I forgot to show the knife. It's a different knife. I don't think we've seen this particular knife before. It's a very unique knife with a lot of different characteristics. And it's going to go in that sheath in the back of his belt there. I'm going to stick it in there. There. All right. Okay, so then I'm going to try to get some of these other things on him. So we're going to put his backpack on there like that. So for articulation points, he has these secondary, the butterfly shoulders. He's got these secondary shoulder pauldrons and armaments, these guards, wrist guards that are on him that are really nice. He's got the double pinned elbows underneath that armor, double pinned knees with those cool knee pads there. He's got the thigh and the calf articulation. He's got the crotch and leg. He does have an ab crunch underneath that secondary, and his head does move. So he does have that ball joint articulation there as well. He's got the wrist articulation. He's got the foot rocker articulation. And let's see if he has the secondary. No, he does not have it because Tripwire did not have it. So he's not going to have it. So they've cut out some of the secondary ankle articulation for figures when it's been too difficult because of the sculpting and the molding and everything like that. So let's see. Woody, chainsaw and bullets, it doesn't get more dangerous than that. Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. So I'm going to try to put this gun on him. I'm going to use this big gun, this big handle here, in this spot, if I can get it in there. Let's see. All right, so I have that in there. I'm going to move his elbow up there, get a little bit of flexibility. And then I'm going to try to hold this handle that he has here. I'm going to try to hold that with his other hand. I don't know if it'll let me. It's going to be a little tricky. All right, let's see. All right, so it's trickier than I thought it was going to be. All right. Okay, so I can't get him to hold the handle and that at the same time. All right. So the cartridge came off. So I got to put that back on. Maybe now that the cartridge came off, maybe I'll be able to get the ammo in there. Then the chainsaw also came off. Yeah, this is very tricky. I'm going to have to play around with it because a lot of the stuff on the gun does not hold. Maybe I can switch the gun to a different hand. Maybe I can use this hand instead and then use this hand to hold the this part at some point. I don't know. We'll look at it. But I can't get the gun to hold very well with all the parts on it because everything keeps falling off. We'll have to play around with it and see. There is a little bit of a doodad on the back there that you can hold some stuff on it. Let's see. Lady Virgo, cool. Good morning. Thanks for joining us in the chat today. It's time. Yo, Joe. Good morning, beautiful people. Thank you very much. Good morning to you as well. Woody, neat fact about this figure, you can pop the chainsaw out of the gun and then store the gun on the backpack using the peg on there. Yeah, I just noticed there was a peg on there. I hadn't checked it out, Virgo. Everybody's saying hello. GB going hunting today for ghost vipers. Yay! Good luck. Hope you find some. Nice, thanks, Virgo. Let's see. Not a hunt day per se. It's a Woody day. Emailed you some pictures later, Dave, showing the setup for this figure. Oh, great. Thanks a lot. What's up, Virgo? Everybody's saying hello. There you go. So, yeah, it's a little tricky. So, I'm going to have to figure out how I can get that on there. So, like Woody was saying, there's a little bitty peg hook here, there that you can attach some of the stuff to get it on there. But I don't know. We'll have to play around with it. Seems a little bit complicated for me, but I don't know. That's just maybe my deficiencies coming through. So far though, overall, I like the figure. It's a very cool looking figure, very cool accessories and stuff like that. The accessories are difficult to maneuver and to get them in the right position, like I said, and not all of them go on there overall. But there are some really nice details with this. There's a lot because they use the tripwire mold. There's a lot of like armaments and buckles and little rivets and all that little detail that are on there, and it goes around the side as well and the back of the figure, and there's a lot of good detail on that backpack that I really like as well. If you look at the backpack, there's lots of nice detail on it. The front also, because it's a tripwire thing, has the detail with all the ammunition and the belts and straps and stuff like that. He's very vintage inspired. He looks very similar to his vintage figure. The only difference is he's much bulkier, and I think they definitely took some cues from his comic book appearance, because if you look at his comic appearance, he looks much bigger in that, and he's definitely a lot more violent. They didn't give him that yellow stripe that's on the top, or no, that pink stripe that's on the top there. So they've said in interviews before, they start with the vintage figure and then they add or detract details depending upon the needs and what's available and what they can do with the figures and stuff like that, and the characters. So this is a perfect example of that, where they took some cues from the comics on this figure. But overall, he looks very nice. And I like him. I'll get the gun on him eventually, and we'll get it to stay. Sometimes it's a little bit stressful trying to put this stuff on while I'm on the video because I'm fiddling with it. But it looks pretty good. I'm going to give him a stand. Let's see. We'll put him on the stand. And There you go. So eventually I'll get this on there and it'll be like that. We'll have his arm out like that, and we'll have this like that, and we'll have this hand like that, and he'll have it in there. Or we'll do it the opposite way, and we'll have it that way. Um, these gauntlets are secondaries, and they move around as well, but all the leg stuff does not. So we'll get it on there, and we'll eventually have it all set up. Let's see. Okay, so what figure is it? It's a Saw Viper, Clement. Saw Viper. He ended up killing a bunch of GI Joes in the comics, the Real American Hero comic by Larry Hama in the early '90s. So we got some news. It has come to my attention that there have been some things that have been released um, for pre-order through some of the dealers. So I have some ways of getting information, and sometimes I find out certain things. So it has come to my attention that some things have become orderable for pre-order. One of those things is going to be Hooded Cobra Commander, and I'm looking at like a $70 price tag for that. So I'm guessing it's going to be a deluxe Cobra Commander with a bunch of extra stuff for that price point. That's what my information is telling me. And then there's going to be renders and some figure reveals for the Hydra Viper, Iceberg, Zap, the female Crimson Guard, Deep Six, Destro, and the Despoiler is going to be showed off. Mistress Armada, a character that's a later character from the 2000s, Mistress Armada. They're going to be showing that character off. A new Cobra character and a new Joe character. Both will be showed off. A Rugged Duke. So they're going to do the Skybound Duke, a Rugged Duke. Lara Croft as a GI Joe, which is weird. I don't know if that's true or not, but Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider, as a GI Joe, I don't know. I find that a little odd. I don't know if that's correct or not. And then Legacy Infantryman and a Legacy Snow Rescue Trooper are going to be two figures for the Legacy line that are going to be coming out this year. Zanya with a vehicle is pre-orderable, and that should be coming out soon. Stealth Trouble Bubble versus Green Squad. I'm not sure what that is. Stealth Trouble Bubble and Green Quad, but it's some sort of a vehicle situation with a green quad. I don't know. Dusty with his Sandstorm 2-pack figure and pet 2-pack Sandstorm and Dusty version 2 figure and pet set. New York Knights, good morning. Good morning, Vietnam. Yeah, that was a good movie. Thank you for joining us, New York Knights 1974. Backwoods, thank you for joining us. We need a legacy nurse. Yeah, it would be nice to get a legacy nurse. I agree. And then we should be getting the Royal Guard, Red Dog, and Taurus figures showed off very shortly as well. So that is all the information that I have. And so I wanted to give you guys that information to give you a heads up as to what is happening. Some of that stuff is interesting. I don't know about the Lara Croft Tomb Raider figure. That's a little weird, unless they've got some sort of crossover with the video game, because there's a new animated series going on right now. So I don't know. They sometimes use characters and things with video games and real life people, stuff like that. That's a very unique one. I wonder why they decided to go with that, and if that's accurate or not. Not before we get the legacy whale. Legacy whale. New York Knights is obsessed with the whale. Oh my god. New York Knights, did you watch my video with the Dragonfly HasLab unboxing and stuff like that? And I showed the Dragonfly next to the HasLab Dragonfly, and you can see how big it is compared to it. I would hope, looking at that video, you would know that getting a whale is going to be impossible. It's impossible. What's good, Dave? Same Time Toys. Thank you for joining us. Same Time Toys and everybody in the chat. So what do you guys think about all that stuff? Do you think all that stuff is gonna be cool? Why do you think Hooded Cobra Commander is gonna be $70? He's gonna have to be deluxe. He's gonna have to come with the cape. He's gonna have to come with the snake on the earth, the scepter. He's gonna have to have like more stuff, right? With the hood and the redeco. Which version do you think they'll use? Do you think it'll be a completely new mold, or do you think it'll be the vintage one that we've gotten 3 versions of, kind of different parts? How do you think they're going to do that, Cobra Commander? Why do you think it's so expensive? Do you think it's going to come with maybe a throne? Maybe a throne with Cobra Commander? Possibly. Yes, I did. And my buddy Will R was there with you. Okay. Woody, Shane, everybody's saying hi in the chat again. So what do you guys think about all that? What do you think that trouble bubble is? Like a shadow trouble bubble with Green Squad? Is that like a G.I. Joe version of the trouble bubble? Is that something they're redecoing for G.I. Joe? That's an interesting reuse, because I don't know if we ever got a G.I. Joe trouble bubble before. It's all hearsay. It's all hearsay till I see it for myself. Too many collectors on here claiming they got low down on Hasbro. No offense intended. Okay, I understand that. That makes logical sense. Gunpowder Nitro. Everybody's saying hi in the chat. So a lot of this stuff's been rumored for a while, and we've gotten it on other leak lists and things like that. But there's a way that I can find out certain things, because vendors have to order this stuff in advance for their stores. And so they get code names and they get designations and stuff like that. Only if the vendor asks more information will they get more information. And so that's the situation, the scenario that I'm dealing with here. So we don't have 100% all the facts, but a lot of this information is accurate and pretty close. Some of it's puzzling, like the Lara Croft Tomb Raider, Legacy Arctic Trooper and Legacy Infantry. That's cool. I was thinking we were going to get a Legacy EMS first, but maybe we'll get more Legacy this year. So some of that stuff, like the Dusty and Sandstorm, that's been rumored for quite a while, over a year that's been rumored. Destro, the Despoiler, has been rumored for over a year as well. The Cobra Commander, Hooded Cobra Commander, that's been rumored for a while. A lot of the renders and name only and stuff like that, those things have already been revealed. So if we get figure renders of those characters, and then we get some figures in the G.I. Joe Day, possibly, to show us what they look like. That there's nothing wrong with any of that, because we're going to get all that stuff eventually, the render reveals and some real life pictures of the figures where Lenny and the team go over them. So a lot of that makes sense. It's just some of these name onlys and some of these leak ideas that we haven't seen. That's the puzzling part um, Gunpowder Nitro, and you can take it or leave it. It's good. It's good talk fodder for us to discuss and have some uh, um, fun with it, to add to these chats and stuff like that, because there's not a lot of news right now. So it's just something to discuss, and I'm curious to see what you guys think about some of these things. um, what do you think about any of that stuff that I just rattled off? Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's all like gunpowder thinks, rumors, or do you think it's real? And do you think we'll get some of this stuff in the next week and a half or so before we get to GI Joe Day, the week of GI Joe Day, and then Toy Fair after that, which is the 15th? So all this stuff is within a month time that we're going to get a lot of this information, and then we'll know if it's real or not real. But it's just fun talk for now until we see. But I'm curious. I'm curious. Some of it's interesting, some of it's weird, but I'm curious to see what you guys think. Woody, 610 Yujo Daddy, what do you guys think? Do you think this is all good stuff? Or do you think it's all speculation? We're not going to get any of these things? Do you think the name onlys or the renders or the reveals for G.I. Joe Day are accurate? I'd be curious to hear. Um, so our next video is going to be a new Joe, and it's going to start a pattern with a set of GI Joe figures that I hope will eventually lead us to another faction of GI Joe, and that is European Mission Brazil. So hopefully this figure and his three compatriots and a different character will lead to Mission Brazil down the line. And we will get into that as we go, and we will be covering all those figures one by one through this year. I got a feeling the next vehicle released will be the Stun. Yeah, you think so, Woody? It's interesting. What do you think about that Shadow or whatever it is, Trouble Bubble? Do you think that is something interesting that might be a GI Joe Trouble Bubble with a GI Joe Troop Builder in that? That's an interesting twist. They're doing a ferret. We've heard we're going to possibly get another ferret this year. So they're going to need to reuse all these vehicles. We've only gotten 2 Trouble Bubbles. So it seems like once they do something 3 times, they kind of move on from it. So we've gotten 2 ferrets, 2 Trouble Bubbles. We've gotten 3 Ram motorcycles, and I don't know if we'll get another Ram motorcycle. I think anything is possible with the Lara Croft being the exception. I've heard Hooded since Emily said they are using it in advertising and not shying away. There you go. See? You can try to piece some of this stuff together and be detectives on this stuff. I didn't anything about a Trouble Bubble. You didn't hear anything about the Trouble Bubble. Okay. So that's new. I hope they get away from the Trouble Bubble. Yeah, I love the Trouble Bubble. I think it's a cool vehicle. It's very unique. I would have liked them to have done a Locust and made that instead with a Troop Builder, but that's just me. But some of this stuff is interesting. It's definitely worth some a discussion. No social media, though. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens. But I'm very interested in all this stuff, and I hope it all comes out. They've got to really step up their game from 2025 to 2026 if they're gonna do something really big this year. Because last year there was so much good stuff that we got. It was incredible, the amount of good stuff. It was so difficult. Woody and I had such a difficult time trying to do our top 25 lists because we wanted to add more stuff into it. And I kind of cheated a little bit on my list, right, Woody? Where I did 4 packs and I did HasLabs and I had 2 packs. Woody just stuck with one figure at a time, and I was doing all kinds because I had a hard time with it. It was it was my episode and it was my choice to do that, but it was difficult, right, Woody? Um, 610 is your social media. Ah, okay. Uh, Well, that's fine. You guys are good friends, and I appreciate all your love for this channel and respect for me, and sharing my videos out and stuff like that, like you guys did for the 250th sub episode. I appreciate you sharing that out. Thank you, 610 Yojo Daddy, for that. That was very cool of you to do so. I've had other people share videos out too. My Super 7 video was shared out by somebody. I can't think of the guy's name, but he shared like clips from it. So people do want to know about this stuff, whether it's real, speculation, pie in the sky, fantasy, who knows? The whole thing with the desert is my spirit animal. We thought that was all speculation. We didn't know what was going to happen. And then we got the Arctic 3-pack revealed by Hasbro, and that was in his list. And then the full force pretty much confirmed with a wink, wink, nudge, nudge that the Destro and the Despoiler was coming. So that was in his list as well. So all this stuff, until like Nitro said, it is it's fun speculation, but we've got to talk about something, you know. The reveals and the reviews that I'm doing are fine and stuff like that, but we've got to add a little bit more to this conversation than that, or it's going to get quite boring to just see me review a figure every day, you know. So I like to add some things. That's why we do the retro G.I. Joe vintage figures comparison. We get into the history of the characters. We come up with new tidbits about the gun being the 2-up gun and not the actual vintage gun that was supposed to come with it. So that's new information that a lot of you guys didn't know about. So it's just a fun discussion. Imagine it being just your friends hanging out. Hey, Woody, did you see this? Hey, 610 Yojo Daddy, did you see this? That type of thing. Like we did when we were kids, when we saw the new figures on the peg hooks. We saw the pamphlets with the new vehicles. We saw all the cool stuff coming that year. That's what I'm getting at. Speculation is fine as long as people don't take it too seriously. It's called speculation for a reason. You got it. That's correct, Woody. You got it. Thank you very much for getting chiming in on that. I love speculating and hoping for what I want to see. Yep, there you go. There you go, 610 Yojo Daddy. Yep. G.I. Joe 66 Delta 17. Hey, thanks for joining us again this morning. They definitely need those pamphlets. You know what's funny is I could get you some of those pamphlets because a friend of mine, if you've ever been to Assembly Required, they do gear kits every year. And they've been doing all the years of G.I. Joe Classified. Brian Sauer has made pamphlets for G.I. Joe Classified. And they've done the first 3 years. I did not go to Assembly Required this past year, but I'm going to try to get the gear kit from Brian at Joe Fest. I hope he has some leftover that I can buy because they are fantastic. I'll have to pull them out to show you guys. They are beautiful. They are retro style with the classified figures and all the vehicles for that year. He lined the whole thing up. It is fantastic. So if you guys know anything about Assembly Required and Brian Sauer, contact Codename Iowa. I think it's codenameiowa.com or something like that, or assemblyrequired.com. And you could go on there and maybe they could get you some of that stuff because there's all kinds of like cross-sell cards of all these characters that we never got with Brian Sauer's art. They're fantastic. I suggest you guys look into that. They need to do something with file cards. Those QR codes on the boxes should take you directly to the character's file card, and I think that would be a step up. Yeah, well, they did those file cards last year for a while. They were doing those digital file cards, right? But then they stopped. And then they have all these tampos and stuff that's on the figures that nobody knows what they mean, and it would be really cool to see what all that stuff is. They've got to redo the Hasbro classified website for that, and have all the file cards and have the QR code go to that site with all that. It's just ridiculous that you can't do that. Woody, I kept one of each pamphlet before I sold my entire Aura collection. I used to share those when I was a kid and just wish. Oh yeah, I have all mine as well. That is neat, but I just watched to see what you get for classified. I only collect 8 O-ring figures. Classified starts at 50 Canadian, 100 just for one figure instead of the old price 35. Very big no. Okay, I understand. 610 or GI Joe 66 Delta 17. I understand. I found I have to be careful with what I say because people run with it. So I try to only put stuff out I have confirmed. But as long as you say this is a rumor or folks claim it as facts from you, there you go. Now it's all different prices just for one classified figure in Canada. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That stinks. So yeah, we have to wait and see. It's just one of those situations. We take it with a grain of salt, and I'm not claiming that any of this is fact. It just came to me through a source, and I'm not going to reveal who that source is. And I'm a trustworthy person. From what I have told you guys, I've never lied to you, so you can take it for what it is. Don't want to end up on Viper Island. Well, I wanted to do an interview with him years ago, and I tried, and he did not want to do it. Haha, Nitro. Yeah. So I was trying to get an interview with him to talk to him about some things and stuff, and have a really serious discussion with him, but he didn't want to do the interview. So what's awesome is watching it come true. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you, 610 Yojo Daddy. Hopefully, the next wave hits in a few weeks. It's been a while since I got some Joes. Yeah, I think we're going to be getting our first wave. It's been rumored early February, late January. I really want a hooded Cobra Commander figure. Everybody does, Terrence Child, and that's why it's been on the rumor list for a while. And Emily has been using that. Animation where he's in the hood. He says there's a lot of stuff in those videos that they've showed that's going to come about. That's where the Arctic Assault hiss came about, because there was stuff in that video where he said he was going to do it, and he's wearing a hood in that video. So the fact that they're using it for the advertising means they're going to probably do it, because that's Hasbro making that social post. OMG, now we will dox you, but my address is always listed on my site. Mine is not. Rumors are lies until they can be true. Okay. Same time, toys. It's interesting. Yes, Shane. May for Super 7 GI Joe, I think. They're probably going to be revealed earlier than that. I would say it's New York Toy Fair will probably get the spring reveals, and then you'll probably be able to pre-order them in March, and then maybe you'll get them in May. So that's probably your time frame on that. May for Operation Recall as well. Yep. Facts, Shane. Yep. So take it for what it is, and I hope you guys enjoyed learning some of this stuff and hearing some of this stuff. It is what it is, but we'll have to wait and see. So thank you guys for joining me today in today's episode. It's been fun. If anybody has any questions or anything, now's the time to ask. Hey guys, check your Walmart clearance aisle. I just found Colonel Hawk and his MMS and Snake Eyes with the polar bear there 2 days ago. Just putting that out there for my Joe Bros. So yeah, a lot of stuff starts to go to clearance at Walmart's because they're doing a reset. They always do the reset in the winter time for all the spring and summer toys. So they're going to be starting to move stuff out of the toy aisles and clearancing stuff out. So that's a good call on that one. New York Knights. Do you collect Delta 17, Dave? No, I do not. I do love what they're doing. Later, all. Thank you, Gunpowder Nitro. But I don't collect it. I've been wanting to do an interview with them. I have a couple of their comics, though. Yeah, the QR code straight to Hasbro Pulse. There you go. Same time toys. Love hearing any rumors, though. Some of it picks up steam. Yep. There you go. Yojo610, Yojo Daddy. So everybody, thank you for joining me in the chat today. And I appreciate everybody after the fact joining on the replay crew and watching after the fact. You guys keep this channel going. And if you can, share these videos like 610 Yojo Daddy did to help the algorithm and to help us get to the 250 subs mark. And then hopefully down the road we'll get up to that 1,000 mark that I'm shooting for. So it's going to take a little while. So there you go. Thanks again. And this is a big Cobra baddie video. So we got to go, Hail Cobra! Thank you. You're fast becoming one of my favorite, Dave. Thank you, New York Knights. I appreciate it. That means a lot to me. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time.